Hello, everyone, and welcome to the SavvyCast. I am so grateful that you're tuning in today. Whether you're listening on the podcast or watching on YouTube, I am so grateful to have you as a follower, listener, or viewer. I am going to go solo today and talk about some of my favorite foods to keep in the freezer. I'm a big proponent of the freezer. I think it is a cook's or a busy woman or man's best friend because it takes a lot of pressure off if you're having a party, you're having an event, or there's a holiday. Having the freezer just gives you options. You have things that you can pull out as needed and defrost or take straight to the freezer based upon what you pull out. And you don't have to do all of the work on the day that you're busy. I like to cook and prepare things while I've got time and while there's no pressure, and then put them in the freezer to pull out when things get busy and I'm preparing for something, but don't want to have to do all the work. So I'm a big freezer girl. Now, the things that I'm going to share today, these are some of my favorite products that you can buy at most groceries and just take straight home, put in your freezer, and pull out as you need. And I'm going to pull these out and show them. For those of you who are watching on YouTube, you'll be able to see the actual products. Those of you listening to the podcast, you just go to the show notes and I will link to the products or include some images where you'll know exactly what you're looking for if you decide to go buy some of these. I am going to start by prefacing with there's nothing about this as far as trying to pull out healthy things or adhere to a certain diet. There will be some things in here that might be gluten-free, but Zane and I don't follow a gluten-free diet for health reasons. Any of these products that I'm going to be sharing are just because we find them very enjoyable, tasty, and relatively healthy or not, but it's just things that I've used over and over again that we both enjoy and that I would recommend to you. So I am going to start with probably one of my favorite things. And if you've followed me at all on Instagram, you have seen me refer to these many, many times. And these are the flying meatballs. Now, these that I'm holding up are my favorite. They're the 3-meat beef, veal, and pork. I love every flying meatball version. They have all turkey. I believe they have all beef. They've got teriyaki, which I've had. Those are great. They have, I believe it's buffalo barbecue chicken. Those are great as well. But my ride or die are these 3-meat. Now, these are not purchased frozen, or at least when I go to Fresh Market to get these, they are in the refrigerated section near the cheese, and they're not frozen. But I never want to be without these. And of course, if you get them refrigerated, there will be an expiration date, use or freeze by. So I just buy these 2 or 3 at a time, take them home, stick them in my freezer. And whenever the craving strikes for meatballs, this is what I turn to. I pull it out, and I'm going to tell you how I cook these from frozen. Now, my YouTube friends, I'm pulling this out to show you that the meatballs are in this airtight vacuum seal. Okay, so you see that they're frozen in a little bit of their Italian style tomato sauce. So you have the meatballs and they are frozen in the sauce. Now, I will say, I think the sauce is there to basically flavor them and cushion them from freezer burn, make them last a little longer, because the sauce is not sufficient if you're going to eat these just as a meal. I always take these and I microwave them per the back of the box for the microwave from frozen. Okay. And it's typically, you just pierce the vacuum pack, put the microwave on high, and I believe it's about 15, 16 on high. And after that, you let it sit. You don't tear it open, but you let it sit. And the way I typically do it, they would be probably, you want to make sure, y'all, you just always want to make sure that any meat that's uncooked, that you cook from raw, you always want to make sure to check the internal temp. And for these meatballs, it would be 165. I know that on 15, 16 minutes and then leaving it in the package for 5 or 10, I know that they're done, but I've checked them enough times to know that that works with my microwave. But what I typically do after that, or I at least did it when my family was all at home under one roof and I did bigger batch cooking, I would put them after cooking, I would just toss them in my small casserole crock. And then I also have a smaller crock, a little smaller scale slow cooker. I would put them in there and then do about a half of a jar of Rayo's homemade marinara. Fabulous. Keep that on hand always. It's the best jarred marinara I've ever found, and I think a lot of people agree. So I would pour that over and I would just let it just stay on low or simmer until dinner time, because it's not going to hurt. They're not going to get overdone, but you're going to want to do that to keep them warm and to make sure that they're cooked completely, and to add that Rayo's and give it more sauce so that you can finish your meal with enough sauce to make several portions of spaghetti, or whether you're going to put it over spaghetti squash. I like to put this over the meatballs and the marinara over spaghetti squash. I will make pasta because Zane prefers pasta to spaghetti squash. Those are probably my two favorite things. And occasionally I will melt, if I've got burrata cheese, which that's one of our favorites, I will break open some burrata cheese and melt it on top of the meatballs, and it's absolutely fabulous. So y'all, the flying meatballs, I cannot recommend enough. The only place I can get these here in Birmingham is the Fresh Market, but they have a Instagram and a website, so you can follow them on Instagram and go to their site and probably DM them or go to their website. But I believe they're at the Flying Meatballs. I'll find out and put it in the show notes. But they can direct you to where you can find these in your location. Now, they also ship, because they do have to put it on ice or dry ice. So, but you can get them shipped, but it probably does cost a bit. Okay, so moving on. This is another favorite thing, and this is a favorite thing to many, many people. This is nothing new. But Calis Hot Little Biscuits, y'all, Calis Biscuits. I mean, I believe years ago, she was one of Oprah's favorite things. So she's big time and fabulous. I've always loved her biscuits, but the wonderful thing is that now you can find them at almost any major chain grocery, which is wonderful. I was always fortunate that they were sold at the Fresh Market, which is right near where I live. And I would always make a special trip to go there to get Calis biscuits. But now anyone and everyone who has a major grocery store in their location can get these Calis biscuits. The buttermilk biscuits are a staple. I am not going to make biscuits. I used to make biscuits now and then, but I'm not going to make biscuits. I just leave that to, because when I can go to the grocery and get these biscuits made and all I do is pop them in the oven, oh my goodness, I would never make biscuits after that. Now, I will say there's a cheddar and chive that is my personal favorite, because I love anything with cheese and with a little more seasoning. But if I had to keep one, I would do the buttermilk, because it will go with any breakfast. You can put jam or you can put bacon, sausage. So this is just a great thing to have on hand. Calis Hot Little Biscuit. One of my goals is to go to the actual restaurant in, I believe it's Charleston. Okay, here are two products made by the same company, and they are gluten-free. As I said earlier, Zane and I do not practice gluten-free, but these are just two gluten-free products that are fabulous. Now, I'm going to hold both of them up. The brand is Against the Grain Gourmet. Against the Grain Gourmet. I probably never would have picked up either of these because, again, we're not gluten-free. But my dear friend Leanne years ago told me, she said, Jamie, you have got to try the Against the Grain Gourmet baguettes. She said they're in the frozen section at Whole Foods. They're fabulous. And Leanne knows food. She's so savvy, always has great tips and ideas for food. So I believe I had asked her for suggestions for a small group that we were having, and I was doing Italian, and she texted this. So I got this and made it that night, y'all. Basically, you don't even have to, because they're gluten-free and they're not the type of bread that's got to be cooked, because they're frozen and you can just thaw them and slice them. The ingredients are basically tapioca starch, milk, eggs, mozzarella cheese. They're not raw, in other words. They're not like a biscuit that you would have to bake from dough, or a pizza crust that needed to be cooked completely. These can thaw on your countertop. And the way I like to make them is I like to split them open, or if you've got kids or teenagers and you just want to make it easier, you can slice them, spray them with olive oil, or even better, drizzle them with an infused oil. I like the garlic from Williams Sonoma, and then there's also a great one at the Fresh Market. It's an infused oil. I believe it has rosemary. Drizzle that, and then just loosely wrap the pieces or the sliced loaves in foil, and then put them in a 400 oven just to get them heated, get a little warmth on them, and then let the extra virgin olive oil just sink down. And y'all, they are outstanding. Now, you know, if you've ever listened to me at all, that my favorite bread in the world is the rosemary Parmesan bread from the Costco bakery. It's fabulous. This is on a short list though, and the fact that it's gluten-free is, I guess, extra nice, because if you're having company and someone happens to be gluten-free, how nice would it be to say that, oh, this bread is gluten-free? So that is one of my favorites against the grain. Now, this is Against the Grain Gourmet 3-cheese pizza shell. Now, it looks just like a pizza crust, so I think it's just a play on words. It is used as a pizza crust, but they just call it a shell, and it's evidently got 3 cheeses. I just bought this on a whim one day, and I made pizza for our small group. And when I tell you they raved, and everyone, literally, there was not a bite left. I have started making these like for small group. I've made them again. I'll probably make them again. Now, the crust is one reason that they're so good. And I think the other reason is the combination of the ingredients along with this crust that just makes it great. And it could not be easier. And I'm just going to explain very quickly what you do. You just get this crust. And if you want meat, you can just get some all white meat chicken. You can get a rotisserie and pull the breast meat off and chop it really small. I typically just bake a breast and then I chop it really small. Either way, if you want meat, just do chicken. And you're going to want to, if you use meat, toss the chicken in some basil pesto. The #1 refrigerated brand that I use, and it was the #1 recommendation of Cooks Illustrated, which I subscribe to and I look at their taste tests, is Buitoni. And it's over there by the cheese and the refrigerated section, and it's in a little plastic container, Buitoni, Buitoni. That's what I use. And then I've also used off of the shelf, I've used Classico, and I thought it was fine. And also Costco has good basil pesto. Either way, choose your pesto and then toss your chicken in a small amount of that, just where it's good and coated, and then get your shell. And I spray my shell with a little EVOO, then I'll put the chicken. Now, all I do is add some different cheeses, and this is what I use every time. I will get a shredded or pre-grated Parmesan. I either do the Costco shredded Parmesan, or I do the Trader Joe's that's in the little flakes. It looks like the flakes. So I'll put a little layer of Parmesan, of fresh. Then I will put a smattering of bagged mozzarella, like the grated, like the Kraft or the Sargento, because of the texture. There's a reason I use all the different ones, is because each one, even though I'm using maybe more than one mozzarella, it's because I'm layering different textures. So we have the Parmesan, which is going to give it that sharp, nutty flavor. And then I do the shredded mozzarella. I also like to get the tiny mozzarella balls. I like to get the ones from Fresh Market or Trader Joe's that are in water. They're little bitty, and I like to drain them and just spread them out, and they melt and they stay sort of in little discs when they melt. Whereas you've got the shredded mozzarella that you sprinkle, that ensures that you've got a good even layer of mozzarella, even though the balls are going to stay more in one place. Then to take it over the top, and I mean it takes it over the top, is burrata cheese. And guys, if you've never cooked with burrata or never tried burrata, it's next level. It's basically fresh mozzarella encased in cream, or it encases cream. It's just fabulous. And it comes in liquid, and it's just like in this big ball, and you just break it open and you just sort of break it apart, put it on top of the pizza, and then you just put this in the oven, and I believe it's 400, but basically this shell is cooked just like the baguette. So all you're doing is using it to put all the ingredients on, put it in the oven until the cheese melts and it's got a good golden top. And y'all, people will go crazy. I mean, literally, it is such good pizza. When you have, they're not teenagers, they're young adults talking about pizza after something's over, it's good. It's just very different, but it's very flavorful. So those are two. The only place that I have found these, the crust is Whole Foods, but you might want to go to their website to see where it is in your location. Okay, here's another thing that I have discovered recently, and Zane actually likes it. And it's just super simple. If we're ever just going to have a salad, but we want a little something like a protein to go on top, I can't eat a salad without a protein. But sometimes I don't have any boar's head turkey to cut up, or I don't have time to cook any shrimp or chicken. I have fallen in love with this as a vegan option, but a tasty protein. And this is Dr. Prager's, and again, this is gluten-free, a plus for those of you who are gluten-free, black bean quinoa veggie burgers. Now, I had some friends of ours who were some young men that Zane mentors. They were over last weekend for a Christian retreat, and they spent the night, and I was cooking these, and one of them turned up his nose. He says, "Ooh, I would never eat a veggie burger." So I cooked these and made him try one, and he said, "This is actually very, very good." And let me tell you how I make these. Now, it's basically a flavorful blend of hearty black beans, smoky chipotles, and tricolor quinoa with a hint of jalapeno. Now, y'all, that's a good flavor combination. The way I make these is I'll spray them with my Trader Joe's or Pompeii EVOO, and I put these in my Breville Smart Oven, and I put them on the air fry function. If you don't have an air fryer, you can bake them, but I would recommend convection bake. And then I would also recommend, if they don't start getting a really crisp look, I would suggest that toward the very end, you turn up the unit to broil, just because what I think makes these so great is getting them just crispy. Now, you're going to want to let them sit, because if you pull them out, even if they have that great look and you can tell they're crispy, if you pull it out and you try to pick it up, it is going to break. You have to let it sit. I would say 5 minutes at least, preferably 10, because as it sits, it's going to firm up. You know how when you microwave bacon and you take it out and it's sort of floppy, even though it's cooked, it's sort of loose or flexible, but as it sits, you come back in about 15 minutes and you can pick it up and it's hardened into a crunchy piece of bacon. That's what letting something sit does. So let these sit. And the way I have served these, and that Zane has loved, and that I love, and I think it's just very complimentary to these, I will get a fresh avocado and I'll mash it up and I always add Lowry's garlic salt to my avocado. I just love that flavor with avocado. Also, nothing but the bagel seasoning is great with a fresh avocado. I always squeeze fresh lime juice over avocado. I cannot go without limes, because I don't think you can have guacamole without limes. Limes are great. So I'll squeeze that, mix it up, and spread it on top of the black bean quinoa veggie burger, and just eat it like that, or just put it on top of a salad. I have also spread hummus on top of it and just eaten it that way with just some sides. But this is, to me, now on the cover of the Dr. Prager's box, they are showing it on a bun with sliced avocado. It looks like red onion and lettuce, and it looks like maybe a hummus of some sort as a spread. But I think that the possibilities for these is endless. And if you've never tried this, step outside the box. I believe you get 4. Yes, you get 4 burgers. So each burger has 5 grams of protein, 5 types of veggies, and 150 calories. So that is one of my current favorite things. I think I've talked about this Trader Joe's find on a previous podcast, maybe with my friend Marie, but I'm going to mention this again. This is Trader Giotto's authentic Italian penne arrabbiata. When they say authentic, a lot of their things actually come from the region that they're from. So I guess this is from, it says product of Italy on the back, product of Italy. I read about this in one of my online publications. I think it may have been The Kitchen or Pure Wow. I can't remember. But they talked about how this runs out a lot because it's so great. But this is basically Italian pasta with imported macaroni pasta with an authentic spicy tomato sauce. I believe arrabbiata means spicy tomato sauce. Y'all, sometimes when I make the Rayo's flying meatballs combination and I want to do pasta instead of spaghetti squash, I will open a bag of this. If it's just Zane and me, I will open a bag of this, and basically you put it in a skillet, add just a few tablespoons of water, and the arrabbiata sauce is frozen in like little chunks, and as it cooks, it becomes sauce, and it simmers, and you stir the pasta in with it, and we will use that to put our meatballs and Rayo's sauce over. Y'all, this is outstanding, and there's a reason that this sells out. It's amazing, and this is so much easier than making pasta and boiling it. And when there's just 2 of you, or maybe you and a child, and you don't want to make pasta, and you don't want to pull out that strainer and boil it and all of that, this is great to have on hand and pull out. Okay, I actually forgot to put something in my bag. So my YouTube friends, I'm sorry, I don't have a picture of this. But my friend Marie, we did a Favorite Things at Trader Joe's podcast, and she shared this with me, and I've become addicted to it since. And it is the Trader Joe's butter chicken, straight from India. Again, it is authentic Indian food. I had never had butter chicken in my life, but it's butter chicken with basmati rice, and you microwave it. So it's basically an Indian TV dinner. When I tell you it has flavor like you've never had. The chicken is so clearly good quality white chicken. It does not taste microwaved. Nothing about it tastes microwaved. It is fabulous. I buy 2 or 3. I send one to work with Zane every now and then. I had it yesterday. It's yummy. So if you're at Trader Joe's and you can find the butter chicken, get it. Okay, now I've got 2 Alexia potato puffs, y'all. Alexia, to me, makes the best potato puffs. These are sweet potato fries. I just didn't bring them up. I also have sweet potato puffs. Both of these are my favorite sweet potato frozen treat. So these are the crinkle cut fries. You can also get them in puffs. This is one of my favorite crispy seasoned potato puffs, and this is the roasted garlic, cracked black pepper. I think Alexia is the healthier version of potato puffs and French fries. I think they're just great quality, and we love these at our house. We don't eat them every night, or else we wouldn't have great blood work and we'd have to exercise a little more. But when you want fries or potato puffs that are yummy, 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 I recommend Alexia. They're awesome. In that same note, these Alexia crispy onion rings with panko breading and sea salt, y'all. These are yummy as well. I'm not going to cut up an onion to make onion rings. I'm just not. If you are, I applaud you. But these are so yummy. I like to put these on top of a burger, whether I pat out burgers and we put them on the Rectech, or I love the Angus burgers. They're pre-cooked and they're at Costco. You just reheat them. Love to pull those out and then put these in the oven, get them all crispy, and serve them with one of the Angus patties. I just love these. I've always loved onion rings. I remember growing up, I would have swimming lessons. And then afterward, my mom would take me through the drive-through at Burger King. And I remember I would always order their onion rings. But those were not nearly as good as these. So that is that. These have been surprisingly yummy. And I keep these on hand because they're so handy to pull out on a weeknight with my fresh veggies, just any kind of fresh veggies. I got these because they were Bogo at Publix. I thought, oh, I'm going to try these, but it's real good. The name, and here, for those of you watching, real good, all one word, stuffed chicken. These are, first of all, healthy because it's chicken raised without antibiotics, and it's 5 grams of total carbs per serving, 26 grams of protein per serving. Now, it microwaves in 3 minutes. I don't microwave it. I follow the conventional oven recipe or preparation. And basically, I don't have my readers, but I believe it's either 300 or 350, bake for 26 minutes. Okay, y'all, these are so fresh and clean and they're yummy. This is a broccoli and cheddar cheese version. There is a spinach artichoke version. They are so yummy to me and they're healthy. And I like to maybe do some roasted Brussels sprouts, cut up some squash and zucchini, and maybe do a spinach salad, and this is our protein, and it's just great. And again, at this stage of my life, I'm not stuffing a chicken. I'm not stuffing a chicken breast. So to have this, especially for Zane and me, we're empty nest. We're trying to eat healthier. This is a fabulous option. So real good stuffed chicken breast. Okay, guys, I feel like, here's one more thing that I'm going to mention, and I didn't bring it up here because I empty all of the packages into one big Ziploc, but I just want to tell y'all one thing that's so simple, but it will save you so much time, and I also think it will encourage you to make things that you wouldn't make if you had to go drag an onion out of the pantry and chop it. But I buy diced frozen onion. I buy 5 or 6 bags at a time, and then I get a big freezer, not regular, but freezer gallon Ziploc. And I put all of those smaller bags and I fill up that bag and I keep it sealed and I keep it right there in my freezer that I pull out the drawer. Y'all, one time, and I think it was during the pandemic, I couldn't find that at the store and I was out and I almost had like a food come apart. I was like, what am I going to do? Because y'all, the difference in pulling out the drawer, your freezer drawer, and scooping out a cup or two of frozen onion, throwing it in a pan to saute to make spaghetti or lasagna or a soup or a stew, the difference in the 3 seconds it takes to do that versus getting an onion, peeling it, chopping it, having your eyes water, having to clean the food processor, or having to, I'm all for that. I think that's fine for certain things, but for everyday quick cooking, y'all, it's fine. It doesn't have to be fresh to be good, especially for things where there's a long simmer, like spaghetti or chili. Now, if you're making certain dishes, I think it's very preferable to do fresh onion, fresh garlic. But anyway, for those of you who want just a really handy shortcut, keep some of that diced frozen onion. And when a recipe says 1 small onion diced or medium onion diced, you just walk to your drawer, you pull it out, and you scoop out that onion, and you'll be just fine, and you will not have to go to all the trouble of dicing afresh. So that is all I have today. I hope this was helpful. If any of you have any questions or you want me to address something specific, that I've never covered in the podcast or on the YouTube, always feel free to reach out to me. You can email me, jamie@familysavvy.com. You can also DM me on Instagram. And if you're not following at family_savvy, please do. That's where you'll find a lot of the day-to-day and a whole lot of what I'm cooking or buying or making during the week. And if you have not already, I would highly, highly recommend that you check out some of the blog recipes, because I have a lot of recipes that are for those of you who are busy and want some things you can put in the slow cooker or in the Instant Pot. So that's a place that you'll find a lot of consistent recipes to feed your people. Thanks again, guys. And until next time, you have a very blessed day and you stay savvy.